The Trump regime is desperately trying to hide all of the communications and interactions by Doge. They claim that it was supposed to be transparent, but we knew this was a lie from the outset. Harry and I were doing hot takes from day one, saying that what the Trump regime was going to try to do is they were going to claim that Doge is part of the executive office. They were going to claim executive privilege and other ways to try to block FOIA requests and say that it's national security and all of these things, when you have Elon Musk and others posting disinformation about what Doge was doing publicly, yet they don't want to tell us what was really happening. A lot of public groups like Crew and others filed FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act requests, to get these filings or to get the communications of Doge through these filings. It's just basic stuff. Doge works for us. We're taxpayers. Let us know what the hell you are doing. We know the devastation that was caused to veterans, federal workers, we the people, with the actions taken by Doge. So show us the communications. What was Elon talking about? You claim this Amy Gleason is now the leader of Doge. No one ever heard about her. I've interviewed people who worked at Doge. I've had whistleblowers on the MeidasTouch network. They said Amy Gleason was never the leader. So they just made some figurehead named Amy Gleason the leader. So Amy Gleason works for us. So she should sit and have her deposition taken and answer what the hell is going on. I don't know. This should not be a partisan issue, especially when these MAGA Republicans are out there bragging that Doge is an open book and it's transparent, which of course we know is all lies. You can always tell what's really going on and who's right and who's wrong just based on who's hiding things, who's scheduling things at 1 a.m. in the morning, who's deleting things, who's destroying things. And invariably, it's Trump, his regime, and the MAGA Republicans. If they're proud of the work, then why are you hiding it? You'll just have Amy Gleason testify. And so, as I said, these organizations like Crew filed lawsuits in federal court. The federal court ordered Amy Gleason sit for a deposition. There's unusual secrecy surrounding this organization called Doge. Give the documents to Crew. Respond. Freedom of Information Act. That's the whole purpose of this. Donald Trump then immediately appealed. He appealed to the D.C. Circuit. He lost there. And then he rushed to the United States Supreme Court. Pretty please, can you block the deposition of Gleason? Can you block the documents being turned over? We don't think we should get Freedom of Information Act requests. This is the United States of America, damn it. Again, this shouldn't be a Democrat issue, Republican issue, independent issue. We should get these documents don't belong to them. They belong to us. I want to see them. Now, the United States Supreme Court made a temporary ruling, Justice John Roberts blocking the request to get these documents. It's temporary. It's an administrative stay, but it's an administrative stay on the heels of when Amy Gleason was supposed to be deposed. So the deposition of Amy Gleason's now frozen, pending future actions by the United States Supreme Court, whatever they're going to rule. And we'll keep you updated when they make their next ruling. One of the things they may do is issue a further restraining order or preliminary injunction, blocking this even longer, pending some other rulings that are going to be made, or maybe they don't. We don't know. But to me, Harry, the fact that there's even an administrative stay, to me, the fact that the Supreme Court is even entertaining this when it comes to something so basic and fundamental as discovery of this group that's out there lying about what they're doing publicly as a sword against us, stabbing us, but then trying to use some, executive privilege as a shield from us getting access to what's really going on. I just want answers, Harry. And even though this may just be temporary, I don't have faith that the Supreme Court's going to do the right thing at all anyway. I think they're going to double down and make the wrong decision. But my plea to everybody out there, it's not a political one. If they think they're doing great, then why are you hiding it? Show us the documents, Harry.
Look, and there's no doubt about that. They've set up Doge as this ultimate chameleon entity. I can't even say agency. So we have Elon Musk clearly the second in command, waltzing around the cabinet meetings in his hat with his son and exercising great power and being extolled by the president. And then, litigants come in and say, good, tell us about this guy. He's got this agency status. He should have been under the Constitution. He needs to have Senate confirmation. And then they're no. Oh, he's just a presidential advisor. He just comes in, gives a little talk. It's this Gleason woman who, by the way, apparently is even on the rolls in the HHS. No one's heard of her, but she now is the high and mighty head of this huge agency. Oh, except it's not an agency. We're doing all these things and we've cut all this money and saved the taxpayers. Oh, but it's just an advisory body. So really it's what? Trump making all the decisions. And why this matters is exactly as you say. They want to keep this really consequential decision making that's basically, taking a how did Musk put it, a battering ram or a weed cutter or whatever to the government and not let us even know things, not have political accountability. So this is what's actually going on in this very issue. So Judge Cooper says, this is a good FOIA case to me. And you're an agency, DOGE, and they sure seem to be. And okay, we'll give you a break here, but on these other things, and Gleason take a deposition. And here comes the administration and say, agency, oh no, this is just an advisory body. This is just like a few friends hanging around, putting some ideas in Donald Trump's ear. Why are they saying that? Because then you're not subject to FOIA. They're not an agency, they're saying. They are instead this advisory body, which is this just amorphous entity that it's as if, it's just Trump's barber giving him a few tips. Now, I do want to emphasize all that's happened so far, and it happens, almost for anything but the most meritless claim. It goes to the DC Circuit, and Roberts is the person above the DC Circuit, the so-called circuit justice. And he did enter the stay, but this is in order to permit the full court to just vote on the stay. So if you get 5 votes, and that they would basically vote that way because they think that the government's going to win in establishing that this isn't an agency that we get to find out about, then yeah, they're basically saying, basically enabling a heist of the highest order in real time and at high noon. They're basically saying you can do all these things, invest all this power, make them functionally, as they clearly have, the agency in command of even all the other agencies, but then just put a little label on them and keep from having to reveal anything to the American people, not just legally, but government-wise. That would be an ultimate raw deal when you look at all the incredible cuts and arbitrary actions that DOGE is undertaking. So the theme here is bobbing and weaving. So, it's an agency. Oh, it's an advisory group, for exactly the reason you're saying, keep them from having to sit for a deposition, give basic information about what's been arguably the most sort of novel and consequential aspect of Trump's second term.
Setting aside Amy Gleason, Elon Musk, if you think you've done a great job, right, you should want to testify before Congress. You should want to show up, go through the list, point out all of the things. If you think all the Democrats are going to ask you BS questions, then you could be able to defend yourself, right? Sitting there and say, no, you're wrong. Here's what I cut. Here's why this is great. I mean, why is it that you said you were going to cut $2 trillion, which you didn't, then $1 trillion, which you didn't, then 150 billion, which you didn't. And now it turns out that you've actually added 150 to 175 billion dollars in costs right away. But then in fact, federal spending is actually more now month to month than it was with former President Biden. And
the cuts are all of so-called Democratic programs. Yeah.
And when we look at the impact on the cuts,
Yeah.
even like the cuts to the IRS investigators, it's going to result in tax revenue decreasing by trillions of dollars. And we're less efficient. As some Congress members like to say, they forgot the E in the DOGE, the efficiency part. They've done all of the cuts, but there's no efficiency at all. And they've made things worse and made things more expensive. And then I'll just leave everybody with this concept here. I mean, again, this is a pattern by the Trump regime. On Friday, you have, Hegseth preventing press access in the Department of Defense. You have Kristi Noem hooking up her own people who work in the Homeland Security to lie detectors. She makes them sit there wired up when they show up to work. You've got Trump doing a DOGE meeting where he stands behind the presidential seal, but then claims it's his personal time and refuses to let us know who he's even meeting with. We don't get the specifications about the Qatari jet, even though it's a public record the way Air Force One is. What's really going on there? The budget, 1 a.m., while they added amendments while everybody was sleeping, that ended up giving tax exemptions and no regulation to silencers and suppressors, and gutting major aspects of Medicare, not just Medicaid. But they do it all in secrecy. And it's at the most fundamental level, Elon, sit for a deposition. No one forced you to do this role. This is what you wanted. So now you work for us. Sit for a deposition and answer the questions. And it's just, Harry, it's like the cowardness. They're scared. And it's just sit there. What are you scared about? Sit there for a freaking deposition, be an adult. No one likes sitting for depositions, but in everybody's life, inevitably, sometimes you got to do it. Sit there, answer freaking questions, and then finish it. And then you're done. And let us know what's going on. I'll give you the last word.
Look, I think it's pretty clear what they're scared of. If you actually find out what they're doing and have transparency here, people, I think from what we're learning, would be just completely revolted. But look, Ben, the last word, thank you. But I think you've got the last word correctly. Maybe you think it's a good idea. Maybe you like all this efficiency. The bottom line is, and the law backs this up, we have a right to know. It is monumental what they're doing to this country, how it's affecting millions of individuals on the ground. And the idea that we're not even allowed to see what they're doing, that is, right out of an authoritarian playbook and just a, deep betrayal of the American people. Whatever you think about the policy, hiding it from the American people is indefensible.
Harry Litman runs the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds podcast, and the Talking Feds Substack. It's where I get my legal news from, and I don't get my legal news from a lot of sources. It's like Harry, Katie Fang now, but I go to Harry.
Hey, congrats on her. Yeah,
it's great. But Harry, I've been going to you for a long time for my legal news, so I hope everybody does as well. Go to the Talking Feds YouTube, Talking Feds Substack, and Talking Feds podcast. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ben.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.